Hi again, chicos. Dr. G with you again. I have this piece to share with you, chicos. And the topic that we're going to work on now is, as our calendar indicates, is the verbs dar and decir, and then indirect object pronouns. Okay? Indirect object pronouns, which we're going to need for gustar and similar verbs. I'll explain to you in a minute why. Based on the fact that we're covering dar and decir and indirect object pronouns and indirect objects, these are two things. One is indirect object pronouns and the other one is just indirect object. See? At the end of this period, working online on MySpanishLad and working, watching the videos, you guys will be able to talk about things and expressing to whom or for whom they are intended to. See? So let's go on online and work on dar and decir. See? Dar and decir. So when we talk about dar and decir, these are two specific verbs that if you have noticed already, we have an irregular conjugation and we have a stem changing verbs. And in dar, we have a combination of set and start conjugation. If you remember the conjugation and set and start, we have there conjugation of that. So notice that decir goes from E to I in the stem, and not only that, but when we're conjugating yo, it has a yo irregular form with it's not dio, but digo, okay? So that G is inserted in the yo form only for the present tense. So the conjugation of decir is yo digo, tú dices, él dice, ella dice, nosotros decimos, vosotros decir, ustedes dicen, and ellos y ellas dicen, ¿sí? So we see that the stem changing verb is from E to I, and it has an irregular yo form, the same irregular form that you saw in tener and venir. Yo tengo, yo vengo, and this one is yo digo. The rest is in indirect object, is stem changing verb with E, the E changing to I. See? So that's what it is for decir. To tell and to say, we convey those two meanings when we compare to English. Now, the verb dar has an irregular, that's an irregular form that we see. If we're thinking soy, eres, es, somos, son, and if we're thinking estoy, está, estamos, están, we see similarities here. We see the soy, doy, estoy. See, we see it in the yo form. And then in estar, we say estás, we have das, da, damos, dais, dan, okay? So look at the example. Todos los días le decimos buenos días. Todos los días ella nos da una prueba. Look at that. Te doy mi pelota si me das tu sándwich. ¿Qué dices? ¿Sí? What happens with these verbs, and this is introducing the next piece that we have for today, is that in English and in Spanish, when you use doy, or when you say dar, when you use these verbs, there are two elements that are implied and required. See, is they are required and implied because you need to know who gives. Yo te doy, to that damos, and the conjugation is revealed. But what do you give? What do you say? And to whom are you telling that? See? So the indirect object pronoun, indirect objects is needed there, and the direct object is needed there. So we need the what you say and what you give, and you need the to whom are you saying that? To whom are you giving that? English has the same kind of like articulation in terms of this verb. So we are going to be needing to use these elements. And if you go back to the sentence that we have here, we not only have decimos. What do you say? What do we say? We say buenos días. And to whom are you saying that? To the profesora. That le and that a la profesora are revealing to whom you are saying that. The second example is, and I'm gonna go to English so you guys better understand it. Let me reveal that. I cannot make it bigger, but every day she gives us a quiz. So what does she give? A quiz. To whom is for whom is the quiz? It's for us. So in Spanish, the same thing. When you say to give, da, damos, dan, you need what you are giving, and you need to know who are you giving it to. So those verbs demand in their own meaning those two elements, and those two elements are on one side the direct object, buenos días, en prueba, and on the other one is la profesora, a la profesora, and nos, okay? So let's move to, yes, you do have the assignment for that in the seat and online on MySpanishLad already. And now I'm gonna go with indirect object pronouns to present this PowerPoint that I have designed for you, chicos. Okay. We have already studied pronouns, and the pronouns are subject pronouns, the one doing the one that replaces the doer of the action. So we have subject pronoun replaces the noun that does the action. So yo como, tú trabajas, ellos bailan, nosotros conversamos. So in that case, instead of saying Sara, I say ella trabaja. Instead of saying Maritza y yo, I say nosotras, okay? So those pronouns that you are seeing here on this column, they replace the doer of the action. Don't get confused. Those are different only to replace the doer of the action. The ones that we have studied in the second place were the direct object, the ones that are affected by the action directly, the ones that receive the action, see? Me, te, lo, la, nos, os, and los, las are those pronouns. And they replace that noun in the sentence that receives the action. If you hear the sentence, Anna opens the door, Anna opens the door. We have Anna and we have door. Anna is ella. Anna is the subject, is the doer of the action. So we could use ella to replace it and say ella opens, ella abre. And then la puerta, ella abre la puerta. Instead of saying la puerta, let's imagine that we ask a question, Ana abre la puerta, and then you answer, yes, she does it. She opens it. Sí, ella, remember the position is before the verb, ella la abre. Ella la abre. So I'm using la to replace the puerta, because in Spanish, puerta is feminine, and in its case, it's only one, so it's singular. These are the pronouns that I use to replace that noun receiving directly the action, okay? And now we are working on indirect object pronouns. See, indirect object pronouns replace the noun for whom the object is for. So for whom the object is intended to. See? So when you say, you notice that we have similarities here. We have me, te, le, nos, os, and les. And you see the LL pronouns are the only difference that we have here. So in the direct object is Lola, in the indirect object is le. And in the direct object is los, las for the plural, and les for the plural indirect object. So, and they correspond, ellos, los, las, and les, they go, we know they refer to the third person plural, while the le refers to the third person singular, okay? So now let's see more in detail what a direct object is. And I'm gonna give you that explanation with this part, see? Indirect object, for whom something is intended to. For whom that direct object is intended to. So, ¿me das esos libros a mí, por favor? ¿Me das esos libros a mí, por favor? Look, read this sentence, ¿sí? ¿Me das esos libros a mí, por favor? For whom are the, what? What is being given here? The books, right? And they are intended for me. So, me and a mí, those two are pieces of what we call indirect object. And in the me is indirect object pronoun. And a mí is called a prepositional phrase, which I'll explain in a minute later. Let's do this exercise with the other sentences. The answer to the question, ¿me das would you give me those books, please? And for me, to me, and then the answer is yes, I'll give them to you. So see, I'm giving them to you now. The books are, now is the other person responding, and then is addressing it as you, not as me. Not as me. So yo te doy los libros a ti. So those two pieces go together, te and a ti. Okay, this is the indirect object pronoun, and this is the prepositional phrase that clarifies or makes emphasis on the indirect object for whom the books are, in this case, are. Or the answer would be no, no te doy los libros a ti. No te doy los libros a ti. Okay, I'm gonna give those books to Catherine. See, le doy los libros a Catherine. See. Now, let's pay attention to this. Catherine has revealed something that we need to pay attention a lot. A mí, me. A ti, te. A ti, te. See? You see that me, ti, te, they kind of like match each other in terms of spelling and pronunciation, but there is no such a thing, and only they go one-on-one. Me, te, ti, te. They go one-on-one, but le goes 1, 3, because le goes with a ella, a él, a usted. So that creates ambiguity. While in me, ti, we have emphasis. In this case, we are trying to avoid ambiguity. And let's go more on that. Look at this. When you say, mi padre me compra un libro a mí, the question that I have here, what is the action? What is the action? The action is compra, right? Compra. Okay. Who buys? Mi padre. See, mi padre compra. So that's the action and the doer of the action. Next question. What does he buy? ¿Qué compra? He buys a book. See, he buys a book. And that's the direct object. That's actually not the direct object pronoun. That's the direct object. And I'm gonna remove that P there because it's important to remove it. Let's go back here. Direct object. That's the direct object. And the last question, who is that book for? Who is that book for? It's for me. See, it's for me. Okay. So who buys it? In this case, it's my father. What does he buy? The book, and that's our direct object. And for whom is that book? Is for me. And me is emphasized by the prepositional phrase a mí. Okay? Me is the indirect object pronoun. It's the indirect object pronoun. And a mí, as I said, is the prepositional phrase that emphasizes for whom the object is. It is called prepositional phrase because it's the first element that we have is the preposition a. Okay? Let's do it again. See? Mi padre, now let's find out for whom is the book. Mi padre te compra un libro a ti. See? Te compra un libro a ti. It's for you. See? So we have a different direct object and a different indirect object pronoun. And the prepositional phrase changes to a ti because they go one-on-one. They correspond each other. Next one. Él nos compra un libro a nosotros. For whom is the book now? Who is the book for? It's for us. And we emphasize that saying a nosotros with the prepositional phrase over there. Now, let's find out who else he buys the book for. Who is the book for? In the last sentence, we say, él os compra, talking about Spain, él os compra un libro a vosotros. So, os is the indirect object pronoun, and a vosotros is the prepositional phrase that makes emphasis, okay? So, nos compra un libro a nosotros, os compra un libro a vosotros is you all, you plural, okay? In Spanish, in Spain version. Got it? So, indirect object pronouns and indirect object. Indirect object is for whom the indirect object is intended to. That's it, chicos, for indirect objects and indirect object pronouns. Avoid ambiguity in le, remember. In les and le, these two, we have to avoid ambiguity because when you say les, which one do you imply? A ellos, a ellas, or a ustedes? When you say le, who are you talking about? Well, the prepositional phrase will help you clarify. A él, a ella, a usted. Okay, now go to my Spanish lab and work on these exercises that I have assigned for you. Bye.